In the undying lands, the king of the Valar, Manwë, came to believe that Morgoth's successor, Sauron, was returning to power. He then summoned a council, which concluded the Valar choosing to send 3 emissaries to Middle-earth. Their mission would be to both reassure the free peoples that the powers had not abandoned them and to guide them against the Dark Lord. Only 2 Maiar volunteered. The emissaries were expressly forbidden to control the free peoples or to match the Dark Lord's power with the power, and if they deviated from their appointed task, they would be cast out, and over time, their forms would begin to wane. The wizards were known by various names and were arrayed in different colors. Of those who came to Middle-earth, sent by the Valar, 5 are known. The wizards each possessed incredible magical powers that allowed them to perform astonishing feats. Their power was reputedly greater than, or at least equal to, that of the elves. Each wizard carried and utilized a powerful staff, through which he channeled and performed most of his spells and magical actions. Yet, for all their power, the Astari were expressly forbidden by the Valar from openly using their magic, except in times of great need. Hello my friends, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoyed our little lore from Lord of the Rings, a little excerpt from the Silmarillion by our old friend J.R.R. Tolkien. And today we're going to do a little wet blending with some fun wizard models that I found from my favorite online 3D printing model maker, One Page Rules. And they have some really neat wizard guys and gals here to print for your tabletop games. Maybe good for Frostgrave, maybe good for Mordheim, maybe good for the old world Warhammer that's coming back, maybe good for One Page Rules itself. And printed out 4 of these. And today we're going to do sort of an old-fashioned painting method with some base colors and some thinned speed paints to act as washes. And we're going to have some fun with the color there, some prints support still hanging on those there. And I chose, some of my favorite models from here, and we want to try something new and sort of give you a little rundown of how to wet blend and thin your paints and use speed paints thinned down as washes. Now we're starting here with the little aqua lady, and I have my wet palette out, and I've created some different gradients of blues, and we're sort of creating a cool wet blending here, getting a little sloppy with our brush and slowly doing a light to dark from the top to the bottom of this little wave that this wizard lady is summoning. And then we have some turquoise, and you can see the gradients that I've built on my wet palette. And the idea that I'm going for here is I'm going for some really strong uses of color. And we have slap chopped these models, but mostly in order to better see the detail. Sometimes, at least for myself, when I prime a model completely one color, I find it a little bit difficult to see what the heck I'm painting here. And on the robes and some of like the magic and the staffs, I'm basically any big space on here, you can see I'm just going in with the wet blending. And the idea is that I'm going to get sort of a nice, really colorful finished product with only about a weekend's worth of painting on these guys and gals here, these wizards. And I like this one a lot. I think this is my favorite one. This is like the the fire guy, the bright wizard. And I've sped up the footage here to show you now how I'm moving on to the warm colors, and I'm slowly wet blending here. And being my paints they do look very thick here. The reason for that is that I've diluted them, and acrylic paints you want to dilute with 30 to 50% water, so they're going to look really wet and thick, but when they do dry, they're not going to obscure the details here. And same thing, I'm going to go on this cloak, and I'm doing the kind of reds, mirroring the magic flame that he's summoning, and the fireball that he's casting, and I'm doing the red and oranges and yellows to effectively wet blend the cape in order to create the places where the light is falling. The brighter portions will be orange to yellow, and then the dark recesses will be more red. And I think too, when you're just starting to slap some paint on the models here, it's okay to be a little sloppy, because we're just going to grab some white later on in order to fix some of the ketchup and mustard mistakes that we've made over there. But yeah, it looks like I've just put a bunch of ketchup and mustard on this little wizard boy. Love him. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. And then more and more as we get along here with the wet blending, I'm starting to also very quickly put some of the gradients on top of the darker turquoise here in order to create some dynamics in the cloth. And the idea is that later I'm going to come in with thinned out speed paints and washes to dull this down, so I can be a little bit sloppy as I slowly wet blend here. And now this little water wizard is going to be primarily cool colors, so I'm going to paint the staff in these red warm colors in order to create a nice balance on the piece here. You can see below I've added some of the warm tones into my palette, and with the same method I'm slowly adding a lighter color, blending these little colors to create the gradient. And here I've thinned out. You can kind of see how when you thin your acrylic paints, they're going to flow a little bit, and you almost get that kind of contrast speed paint effect, but you're generally going to still be able to see the details on here, and the paint is not going to obscure them. And that's you want to generally thin your paints down to the consistency of you might say skim milk. And this is the kind of earth wizard guy. He's got a little wildcat familiar, and same thing as we did with the green paint. I have some purple paint here. You can see some of the Viejo paints that I'm using above here, and same thing, I've just thinned this down a lot with some water, 30 to 50% water, and it's allowing me to kind of slather it on these large portions. Looks a little thick right now, but it's going to dry, the water is going to evaporate, and we're going to have a nice gradient kind of maintained from there. And also too, like, this looks like total garbage right now, these models, and they look bad right now, and that's kind of like something you have to get used to when you first start miniature painting, because basically no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, whether you are the weekend hobbyist, amateur like myself, or you are the other end of the spectrum, the moving on to some browns here, whether you are the golden demon winner, there is a period when you first start that miniature that it just looks terrible, and eventually you go over this hump and it becomes pretty cool looking, and then eventually you start adding the details, and eventually you reach full circle to this point where it looks awesome and you're proud of it. and it's this little psychological thing that we go through as humans. And so yeah, just keep going. Like, they look terrible right now, but bear with me as we get along, as we start adding the details, as we start adding the washes, as we start completing the colors and doing the little tiny things like black rimming the bases and cleaning up our mistakes. We start to get a little bit closer to something we can be proud of. We can access those endorphins that we really, really want. And here I've began to do the lighter shade here as we start hitting some of the raised details with a little bit of the same purple mixed with some white in order to pick out the cloth. And same thing, we're going through all these little wizards with a little bit lighter gradients, and it doesn't have to always be white. You know, for the green here, I'm using a green, yellow, greenish yellow, and then eventually I will build that up to like a lime green for the most raised portions. And here I'm doing that nice wet blend with this magic that he's casting through his staff. Oh my gosh, through his staff here, and we're going from a purple to that light purple to a nice fluorescent pink here. And these fluorescent colors from Vallejo are very nice, but you do have to mix them very well. There is some sort of special pigment in there that just does not, it separates a lot easier. So you have to mix it very well and put on many layers. And then here you can see I've gone in to begin to fix some of my sloppy mistakes here and redefine some of the portions. And also, it's nice to zoom in on my camera because I am old and can barely see, and this is a great place to get really close to the models. And then now we're moving on to the speed paint, which we're thinning down with about 50% water. And you could use the medium and or airbrush thinner too, but I'm just doing water here, and it's working just fine for me to act as a wash. And I'm using this Crusader skin, which is a sort of tan, yellowish orange, for some of the flame and some of the face here of this wizard. And I'm gonna start going over some of the sloppy highlights that I've done on these large wet blending areas with the thinned out speed paint, and you're going to see how that begins to slowly clean up this sloppy paint job, and it'll begin to look a little bit better as we go. And we're also going to add some metallics here slowly to some of the yellow, and we kind of have this poor man's non-metallic metal with the yellow to the orange to the red, what's building up to the actual metallic gold. In the highlight, we're going to hit some of the belt buckles and medallions as such on some of these guys and gals, these wizards. And here you can see I'm beginning to use this thinned out speed paint here, 50% water, just to act almost as a wash, but a better wash because of that flow agent and the special chemicals that go into speed paint to make it what it is. And you can just see how that really cleans up some of the dirty work that I've done here. And I love the look of this. It's just really brings out the contrast. And you thought that these models were very rich and colorful before, and the speed paint just adds to that. And I like this method. It's kind of the new thing for me, and I'm sure that a lot of people have done this already, but try it out and see what kind of really cool colorful stuff you can come up with. If you wanted to paint maybe in the comic book style, I think this would look really great If you were painting like Marvel Crisis Protocol or Star Wars Shatterpoint, I think this more kind of cartoon look would look amazing, and I'm digging it, and hope you guys enjoyed this video, and try it yourself. Check out One Page Rules, check out some of the links below, and thanks for watching, thanks for sticking by, and we're gonna roll that beautiful bean footage.